What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here, and yes, we have the RFL sliders ready for you guys. One thing I will say before I get all the way into detail with these sliders is there will be another slider set coming out soon, because when I made these sliders, a new patch dropped just about a day or two ago, and so it kind of changed some things. And so instead of just pushing it back, I wanted to drop the sliders that I had it as, or have it as, and mixed around a little bit on the day that I promised. So today you will be getting the sliders. Still, from what I've seen, the games have actually been okay, but I do see some things that I might change, and so you can expect another slider set within maybe about a week or two from here. And so this is slider set 1, but yeah, let me show these guys, show these off to you, man. I think these are some really good sliders. The ones I had before the patch was perfect the way the game was playing out, but you know, of course, the patch changed a little bit of things, and you know, we're gonna get it right by the time the season comes up in the RFL. But here we go. You can already see I had a game in progress with these sliders, and you can see that was a pretty good game. And it's not only about the numbers, you know, about the score of the game. It's about the, you know, the stats, the overall stats within each game. And so I've tested multiple teams in preseason and in full seasons offline with these sliders. And so these should be some really solid sliders. And so the reason why I tested most of them in preseason, so I can see the difference between starter players and backup players, like high overall players and low overall players, and how they play in terms of quarterback. People don't know it, but the quarterback position is so important in these CPU versus CPU sliders, because if they're playing too good or too bad, it really affects the way the game is played out. But let me just get right into the sliders. Now, for the main menu, I already passed the main menu. Don't worry about the main menu slider, just leave those at default. All you have to worry about is the in-game file sliders, okay? So here's the gameplay sliders I got set. You can get your own XP sliders. I don't really typically work on XP sliders, but this is what I have right now. Okay, so I have the QB accuracy at 18, and the reason why is I'm pretty sure you guys have seen from guys who've been trying to do CPU versus CPU gameplay on default, the quarterbacks are out here throwing like gods out here. I mean, they are barely missing any passes. Like, it's either they're going to complete it or throw an interception, and so it's like that's just completely unrealistic. What people don't understand is that quarterbacks, typically, if you watch an NFL game or any pro style game, quarterbacks are usually around the 60, you know, or 70%, and rarely 70% on completion percentages. And not only that, most of those missed passes are passes where they have guys open and they just flat out miss, never gets to them, or they're inaccurate, they're dropped, or a guy makes a play on the ball. And so accuracy, to be honest, when you can when I'm testing these out, I typically see where the quarterback's percentages are, and then I look at the plays on the way that they are throwing the football. And so, like, there, you know, you typically won't see as many, you know, errant passes from great quarterbacks like your Drake Crowells of the RFL or Joseph Gilly, those really good guys. And, you know, same thing should be for NFL players, where, you know, if their ratings are good enough, this slider, yes, it will affect their accuracy. They'll miss some passes, but they will definitely not miss as many passes as the backup or lower overall players. So this is the reason why I have this set at 18. Okay, looking at the pass blocking, it was at default before the patch came out, but one thing I've noticed with the pass rush is it seems like, I mean, they said they didn't do anything, but the pass rush really seems as though they have kind of tuned it down a little bit. And I'm seeing the quarterbacks get too much time in the pocket from time to time, and so I turned that down to 48, nothing too drastic, but I've noticed that the pressure is starting to get there a little bit faster. This may be one of those areas that gets changed that I talked about in a later the video for the slider set. And so yeah, really important slider here, because you want the pass rush to be able to make the quarterback make faster decisions and to play realistically, not have all day in the pocket and then the receiver ran his full route and then just goes off running whatever afterwards, almost after every play. And so that's unrealistic. But from 48, I noticed that the pressure is a little bit greater. Looking at the wide receiver catching, I left that at default. I think the catching is great where it is. The run blocking, I left that at default. Didn't really get to test this too much after the patch, which is why I'm saying this may also get affected, because I'm noticing a lot of big runs getting ripped off by the running backs. Not saying it's a bad thing, but, you know, consistently it may be a problem, but I haven't seen too much of an issue with this, so I'm leaving that at default right now. But some games, you know, are a little bit questionable. And like I said, the new slider set will be coming out. Now, this has got to get changed right now. I forgot to change this, but the fumbles, It's something that has happened. They said they fixed it. I haven't seen too many fumbles, but I'm turning this down to 45. So 45 is what I've noticed to be a great place to where the fumbles are set. This may also get changed. I may put it a little bit higher because you want to see fumbles in games, but you don't want to see too many. And so 50 is definitely too many. 45 before the patch I had it at was actually pretty solid. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be solid as well with the new patch if they fix fumbles like they said they did. So 45 is where I'm going to have the fumbles. I did not touch the pass defense reaction time. I felt like that was great. I tuned the interceptions down to 43. Now, with this at 43, I really felt like this was an area where, guys are going to be able to catch interceptions that they should. You're still going to see some like where it's thrown right to them and they drop the ball, but at least it looks like realistic. It's not going to always happen that way. And then you don't always want a defensive back or somebody breaking on the football, just picking everything off every time. And so 43 seems to be a little sweet spot that I've found for the interceptions, on where you won't see the defense really just all around just picking everything off every time to get an opportunity. Because to be honest, there's a lot of opportunities that people get in pro games to get an interception and they just don't get it because they flat out drop it. So that's a real thing. But those obvious ones that should be caught, most of the time they're caught with this set at 43. Okay, looking at pass coverage, as we all know, Madden 20, and the pass coverage is horrible this year. This is something that may also get tweaked a little bit, but from at 60, I found it not to be too OP. You don't really want to raise the pass coverage up too much to where you're seeing the defensive backs or just the defenders, period, breaking on the route before the receiver even runs it. So that's just unrealistic. You don't see that. So with this pass coverage at 60, you see a much better defense with them being in their assignments and stuff like that. And you don't have to worry about guys constantly jumping routes. You already got the accuracy down to 18, so the quarterbacks, for one, going to be a little bit off, and even if it gets there, maybe an inaccurate pass on where the defensive back can make a play. And so you don't want to make this OP. I put this at 60, and so far it looks to be really solid, and that's a big reason on why I kept the defensive, the pass defensive reaction time down to its default state. Same thing for the tackles. I really feel like the tackles are good where they are, and so I left those at 50. And as always, as I do every year, you copy the same stats for both the CPU and the player skill on both sides for your computer simulation games. And then there's a difference from last year. I left this at default, but one thing I've noticed is the kick power. I've rose it up by 2 because some guys just are flat out, just missing kicks. They're just diving before they get in the goalpost, from short range. And typically you could say, probably they don't have a big leg, but when you look at it, they should have enough leg to be able to hit these passes. And the wind, this kind of equates for like the drastic weather conditions that they put in it within the game. And so I didn't raise it up too much, but at 52 it seems to be a really solid place where you can see guys who truly have that leg power to be able to drive that football out there, get it to the field goal post, and be able to knock it through for 3. The rest of the stuff is at default. Injuries is a thing that we definitely have to test a little bit more, but one thing I've noticed is you're not seeing too many injuries with this at 10. I just pretty much took the main menu in-game exhibition stats for this because you see injuries within that, but you don't see too many when it's at 10. So I feel like this is a realistic thing. This may go up depending on our tests. This probably won't get changed until the RFL season starts up next year in January, because we've got to test a full season of this or test a strand of games within a week to see how this all pans out. But right now 10 seems to be a pretty good spot. Looking at the fatigue and the threshold, these will not be touched because I noticed that once you start touching them, if you go up with fatigue, guys stay on the field too long. You go down with it, guys are out in like 2 plays from times, so I really don't want to touch the fatigue. I feel like that's, written and done well. And in the threshold, I noticed that you don't want to change that either because it just makes the players just appear slow in the game, too defensive. And so you don't want to raise it up too high either, because then you'll just see those faster guys just flat out burning everybody. In real life, a guy may run like John Ross out here, like a 4.22 speed or whatever, but it doesn't guarantee you that, he's going to cook a defensive back every time. And as crazy as that does sound, it's the truth. You know, you never see a really fast receiver consistently every single play burn a defensive back who already knows he's fast and is in good position, already playing back like 10 yards. So, excuse me, but that's a big reason on why, you know, I kept this at default. And you don't want to make those guys too fast, because then, you know, nobody would ever be able to stop them. You want to make it seem realistic or where the defense can game plan around it. Yeah, everything else from here, from the penalties, I left that at default. I thought the penalties this year is actually pretty solid. I might change these later on. But yeah, that's going to do it for the slider video, man. I appreciate you guys coming through. As always, checking out the RFL CPU versus CPU simulation sliders. And, you know, a new set, like I said, will be coming out soon, since they did drop the patch not too long ago, that 1.11 patch that, you know, they just had like a couple days ago. That's kind of what thrown a couple things off. But I was just testing these. Me and my staff in the RFL was testing these just a couple for a couple days. And, you know, this is what we came up with. So, you know, these will most likely be changed, but they're pretty solid from what we're seeing right now. And it'll be a good thing for you to give them a try. That's going to do it. It's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator, and I will see you guys next time for more RFL content. Make sure you subscribe and, of course, turn on the bell for more notifications to be notified when we post out content. Also, follow our social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. We got it. So get with us and join the community. Peace.